Well, hello, all of my hamster friends. This is Rachel. I got hamsters, and I'm back with another episode of the pod. Today, it's just a solo episode. I had a lot of little updates, little things I wanted to chat about. Although I do want to do more interviews because every time I do one, I just feel so excited and connected to all of you out there. It's just such a good feeling to chat with other passionate and knowledgeable hamster people. So don't worry, more of that is coming. But today it's just me talking about all of my hamster things. So today's theme of the day is going to be about keeping your hamster's cage clean, and we will come back to that at the end. Someone did send in a question. It was a while ago. I added it to my list of things I was going to talk about, and then I cannot seem to remember who asked it. So if it was you, comment or send me an email and then I can credit you. Okay, so a lot of things to chat about. Number one, Little Ham Designs is back. Little Ham Designs, my friend Cindy, she does these little hamster sets. She sells them on Etsy, and she also has a really fun Instagram account if you just like seeing what she's creating and what little hamsters are attending. She just made a speakeasy that is so cute. She makes all sorts of really fun things, themed little sets. I own quite a few of them, and I take photos of my hamsters in them. The most recent one I set up was the Hamster Italian restaurant. I set them up in this little, what is it? It's like a cozy wow cage that I got with a rescue hamster that I don't use as an actual cage because it's only about 300 or 400 square inches. So I use that as a place to put the sets, and then I photograph them in there. So if you follow me on Instagram, or I think I've released some shorts and stuff on YouTube, you can see some of the sets. They're all so fun and very exciting. And it's just fun. Anyway, and I also like to showcase, maybe I always hope maybe someone who's not a hamster person will see this fun image of a hamster eating in an Italian restaurant, and it will inspire them to, maybe they'll kind of go down a rabbit hole and realize oh, hamsters can be cool, rewarding pets, and these are rescue hamsters, and look at how they have all these beautiful cages. So, that's always the hope for me. It's oh, I'll put out this stuff and then it'll hook someone new. So anyway, if you haven't checked out her Instagram or her Etsy store, I highly recommend it. And her sets are all one of a kind. So if you get a chance to buy one, definitely go for it. They're so great and so lovely. And she's just such an amazing person. So go support her. Other things going on. So it is officially Christmas tree bin time. I was recently, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, which is why I didn't do a podcast for a while. I was recently at Home Depot and I saw Christmas tree bins. Eek! So this is the magical time of year when you can get a Christmas tree bin for your hamster. If you are not aware of the excitement of Christmas tree bins, they are one of the largest bins you can get for your hamster, at least in the United States. I don't know what's out there outside of this area. But in the U.S., we have the 200 quart bin, the Sterilite. It's kind of, it's pretty high, but not as wide. And then the Christmas tree bin, which is longer and narrower and not as high. So Christmas tree bin technically is more square inches than the 200 quart bin, but it's not as high. So you are limited in how much bedding you can use. Generally, they're not recommended for Syrian hamsters because they're just not deep enough for the amount of depth that you would need for a Syrian hamster. And I would say past that, many people, many people do not recommend using bin cages for Syrian hamsters. I'm sort of in a mixed category. If you have a Syrian hamster and right now they're in a small critter trail, and the thing that you can afford is a 200 quart bin because it's $20 or $40 at Home Depot, then go for it. I think that's a great upgrade. And you can always continue to upgrade once you have the money, or maybe you can check Facebook Marketplace for something better. For Syrians, it's more recommended that you keep them in something like a 75-gallon tank or a Night Angel size large, Bigger World or Vista, or Bukastat also has a pretty large, I think it's the 3.0. So there's quite a few options. Those are a little bit more pricey though. So anyway, long story short, Christmas tree bin. So I actually have a Christmas tree bin. I've always wanted one, but I just never really got around to getting one. And it came to me with a rescue hamster named, what did I name him? Lester. Lester. I don't remember if he had a name when he came to me. I'm not sure. A little Good Samaritan. Oh, she wasn't little. I don't know why I'm saying that. A Good Samaritan rescued him, and I kind of took him off of her hands before she went to college. So I got him from her, and he came in his Christmas tree bin. And so I kept him in it. I have mixed feelings about it, but I wanted to give it a try for him. I actually think he might be happier in a 200 quart bin because I could get more bedding in there for him. One thing I've found between having dwarf hamsters and robos seem to burrow more. Like I have, I guess it really depends on the hamster, but I have 3 dwarf hamsters. And I would say 2 of them don't really burrow that much. So Lemonade, my one-eyed dwarf hamster from Happy Horizons Hamster Haven, she doesn't really burrow. She just kind of stays around at top, or like maybe she'll burrow like, an inch or 2 down, but she's not making tunnels. And then the same with Dexter. I mean, he'll kind of like sometimes find a little cozy corner, but he doesn't really like do anything intricate. My robos, there's like all sorts of cool tunnels going on. I love seeing them in the 200 quart bin because I really try to give them like 11 to 12 inches on one side of that bin, and then probably like 7 inches on the other side. So I have one higher platform and then a lower platform that kind of is on a gradual situation. So you can go to my website, or I share photos of my bin cages all the time. And it's so great watching them burrow because they really go down there all the way down. They have all sorts of intricate little entry points. So I think for robos, I'm going to say if you had to choose between bins, I would go the 200 quart bin because it's just so much taller, and you get so much more burrow room. But the Christmas tree bin does have an advantages. And I was thinking actually what it would be great for are either elderly hamsters or hamsters with mobility issues. So, it's a little complicated to do this, but if I had my way, I would actually switch Lemonade, my one-eyed hamster, with Lester, my robo. So I'd put Lemonade, my one-eyed hamster, in the Christmas tree bin, and I put Lester in the 200 quart bin. And the reason I would do that is because Lemonade doesn't really burrow much, and she has one eye and kind of some mobility issues. She's fine. She's not necessarily like elderly, but she does have trouble getting around. She obviously can't see out of one eye because she doesn't have one eye. So she can kind of like lose her balance and fall off of things. And I think having more space rather than, she's still very active. So I think she's like a great situation of having more space for her to run around, but not necessarily more burrowing room would be great for her. So I've had hamsters like this at all different, there's not like a rule that I would say, dwarf hamsters should be in this, robos should be in this. It really depends on the hamster. I do find as hamsters get older, they tend to have more problems with climbing up things, and they tend to burrow less. That is one thing I found. So after having this Christmas tree bin for a little bit of time, I think my takeaway is this is a great bin for a hamster who's like a year and a half old and is starting to slow down on their burrowing, but is still really active and still wants space to get around. Or even as you get into that elderly age, and you just want to still give them a lot of enrichment and make their life, fulfilling, but you don't necessarily want to keep them in some small bin cage, I think the Christmas tree bin would be a great option because you can keep it pretty flat, which is a good thing to do for elderly hamsters so they can really access everything and don't have any issues getting water or food, but they still have lots of space and you can give them lots of cozy corners and interesting things to explore. So that is one thing I found even with my hamsters once they get into old age. It doesn't mean that they don't want to be active and they don't want to do things. They still seem interested. It's just a matter of like what they can do. So those are my very long-winded thoughts about the Christmas tree bin. I'm trying to make it work with Lester without having to put him in a new a new bin because that just seems complicated right now. So I'm keeping him in the Christmas tree bin. I do have like a multi-chamber hide with some stilts. So he probably has like 8 inches of bedding on one side. And then on the other side, it's more like 5. It's not the best. I admit that. It's not my favorite setup for him right now, but he definitely has lots of burrows going on. And what's great, what he's lacking in height, he definitely has in other activities. He's multiple peep chambers. He's got a great sand bath. He's got several platforms, lots of sprays, all sorts of interesting things. So, yeah, I think it's working for him. I'm doing the best I can. And he's starting to come out a little more. The other day I saw him on a water break, like during the day, and I was able to feed him some flax seeds from my fingertips, and he took them. He's so sweet. He's like really kind of reminding me of Steven, my first hamster, just this like really curious little sweet robo who's kind of nervous, but also sort of like just at his heart, like just the sweetest little guy. So I'm hoping I get to know him a little better. And then speaking of his Christmas tree bin, I do have a new item that I added to it. So I actually I should probably do like a cage tour of this setup now that I have it I think it looks good. I have, like I said, I have this Night Angel multi-chamber hide in there with stilts. I got the multi-chamber hide secondhand from Mercari. I don't know how you say that, Mercari. So any of you on a budget, there's totally secondhand, like tons of secondhand hamster stuff out there. If you know what to look for, you can look at Mercari or Poshmark or Facebook Marketplace or any of the hamster groups. People post stuff that they're getting rid of. So check it out. Great stuff. So I got him that platform. And then he also has two peep sheds. One I got for my birthday. One is from Taffet Pets. It's that really cute one that's like a little library. And then the other one is from Night Angel, and I got that one also from Mercari. And then I have a Night Angel like corner sand bath that is really cute. Night Angel gifted that to me, and then also a corner platform from Night Angel, which they also gifted to me. And I love the corner stuff because it's just really space efficient. It just works perfectly in that cage, and it just like creates a lot of good nooks and crannies. I'll do a video of that next, like maybe even a short, so you guys can see the whole setup. And then the latest thing I added was this cute little sand bath from Taffet Pet. They sent me this for free as well. And at first I wasn't sure what it was. It kind of is just this like little square sand bath. But then once I started using it, I realized how cool it is. It has this little like step on the side that you can like, so it's easy for hamsters to get into, which can be a problem for robos, especially because they're so little. And then it also has like little steps on around the perimeter. So it's easy to get in and out of. Like I've been watching him get in and out of it, and it's like, oh, nothing. He doesn't have to work at it. And the little lip also keeps what's inside. So instead of using it as a sand bath, I decided to use it as a coconut fiber dig area. So I gave him some coconut fiber and some dried flowers, and I sprinkle his seed mix in there so he gets to dig around in there for it. And I've been watching him on my Wise Cam, and it looks like it's super accessible, easy for him to use. And I love, it's like really lightweight, like it's like a feather. It's crazy how light it is. So, which I love because, I have used Pyrex for my hamsters. I'm sure I still have some hamsters who have Pyrex digging areas or sand baths. And it's a great, like, cheap, easy to find at a Goodwill item to use for your hamsters, but it is heavy. And, sometimes when you're taking it out of their cage to clean it, you have to be really careful that you don't drop it and injure your hamster. I love really lightweight things because you don't have to worry about something happening to your hamster. And this is super light, so you don't have to worry about that. And what's really cool is that like the middle area lifts out. So when you want to clean it, you can just lift out the middle area. You don't have to like take out the whole thing. So if you have it kind of burrowed in somewhere, you don't have to disrupt all the bedding. You can just take out the center area. So it's kind of genius. And I just did a post on it on my website. So I will link that down below so you can see photos. It's so cute, very sleek looking. I would say it's kind of on the small side, so I would recommend it for robos. I think it's a little small for even a dwarf, but for a robo, it's kind of perfect. It's very cute. Let's see, other stuff going on. Right, so I had to say goodbye to Fred. Fred was this ginger-haired hamster I got from Pet Supplies Plus. He had been there for over a year. He was such a sweetheart. If I have a regret, I wish I had handled him more. I only handled him a little bit. He was kind of shy and he was starting to come out of his bubble, but then he developed all these sores on his tummy, and then they started kind of getting he started picking at them. I brought him to multiple different vets and we just couldn't figure out what was going on. And eventually one day he was having trouble breathing, and I wasn't sure if he was just going to pass. I took him out. I put him in a little bin on my desk as I worked, and I tried to pet him. He seemed like he didn't want to be touched. And so I just kind of let him be. And then after a little while, it seemed like, oh, he's not passing. So I decided to bring him to the vet, to have him put down. It was I feel like that was a really hard thing to do, because I think in every other case with my hamsters, it's just kind of happens. With Thor, I saw him kind of laying, but he was still breathing. And so I just held him for a while, and eventually he died. And most other of my hamsters just kind of died in the night, or, I found them in the morning or something. With Fred, I just, there's something about having to make that decision that is really just so hard, because I don't, that's not a fun decision to make, but I did it. And, I hope he had a good time with me, and I gave him as good of a life as I could. If I have a regret, I wish I had handled him more. I think that he was really a sweet hamster and maybe could have benefited from some more interaction. It's hard when you have a lot of hamsters, and that's the hardest part is sometimes I'm oh, if I had fewer, then I can interact with them more and give them more of my time. But then, there's never a good answer, right? But anyway, because Fred passed away and I had an open bin, I decided to take in another hamster. So my new hamster is Lemonade. She came from Happy Horizon Hamster Haven. She has one eye and she's very grumpy, but she's so much fun. She just is she's so busy. She's always running around. She's eating a lot. She comes out a lot during the day. She's just always out, which is really fun. Actually, she's in the playpen right now. I need to go grab her. So I'm hoping that she'll kind of relax a little bit, and maybe she'll be more approachable, but even if she doesn't, it's fine. She's super fun. And I think it reminds me why I think there's a trait in aggressive hamsters that they're maybe more anxious, and that's what makes them be more likely to bite, right? But they're also, I think the anxiety also makes them really busy, and they're always doing stuff, and they're just so fun. So, if you're thinking about adopting a hamster, I would say don't say no to the aggressive hamster. They're often at hamster rescues and nobody adopts them, which is why I took in Lemonade. People want the cuddly hamster. I get it. I love Dexter. He's my cuddliest hamster. I'm obsessed with him. But if you have your cuddly hamster, you want to take in a second, give that aggressive hamster a chance. I think you would be surprised how fun they are. And sometimes they do open up and calm down. I've heard many stories of hamsters just kind of over time relaxing once they're in a happy, supportive, stress-free environment, and their needs are met, and they have enrichment and all those things. So highly recommend you give it a try. Okay, so speaking of Happy Horizon Hamster Haven, she is having an auction because she has a lot of medically needy animals. So it's going on through November 16th, which is this Saturday. I guess I would assume it ends at midnight. So she's got a bunch of stuff for auction, and all of it goes to her medical fund, taking care of these small animals. So I will put a link to it down below. It's a Facebook group. I've also linked to it on Instagram, and you can find her on Instagram or Facebook and find the auction. She also has a Patreon. If you want to support her Patreon with a monthly donation, then you can see behind the scenes, and she's been doing updates, which is really fun. So great ways to support that rescue if you'd like to. Other things going on. Let's see here. Well, Omelette had a hamster enclosure release. So Omelette, I did actually a video about it. Omelette, they are the ones who used to have these really sleek little cabinets for hamsters, although extremely small and not really great for hamsters, like, pretty much most pet products prior to 2020. But it did look really cute. And I remember looking at it when I first got Steven, because I was like, oh, that's so great. I love that it looks nice. It's not like this garish color, and it's like, it was sort of sleek and beautiful, but was not very user-friendly when you think about hamsters. Like, it was tall, but like very narrow. And then it had this like one vertical tube in it, which I don't think any hamster, maybe a Syrian could climb up that, but definitely probably not a dwarf hamster. So it wasn't like the best for hamsters. So Omelette went back to the drawing board, and they came out with this new like set. It's a cage, and then you have options that you can add to it. The cage is actually pretty big. I think, did I calculate? I think it's about I'm forgetting now. I think it's in the 700s of square inches, like 750 or 775. And it has a fair amount of depth. So it's like has a opaque, maybe a couple inches deep. And then it has sort of an acrylic clear space that also has a few inches. So you're getting about, I would say it's based visually like maybe like 10 inches of depth. And then there's a barred cage topper, which you can kind of like take off to interact with your hamster pretty easily. It also comes, you can have it like on legs, and then it comes with like a drawer if you want that, so you could keep all your stuff together. What I love about it is there's basically just one option. So if you go to their website, it's like, here is the cage. This is the only size. So people can't buy some super dinky size. This is it. And it also comes with a pretty good wheel. I think it's about 10 inches. So appropriate for most hamsters. I would say Syrians probably should be on a 12-inch wheel, but some Syrians are smaller. So mostly pretty good wheel. It also comes with, does it come with a sand bath? I think it comes with a sand bath, or maybe you can add that on extra. The sand bath has legs on it, so you can put that in. That's sort of ensuring that you get some depth of burrow space. And I'm trying to think what other things. You can get a playpen, 2 different size playpen add-on, and you can keep that in the little area underneath the cage. And they have a few other add-ons, like some little hides and stuff. But all of it is like pretty hamster appropriate. I'm very impressed by this. And it, I have to say, I mean, it would be easy for them to say, like, this is too hard, this is too expensive, I'm not going to do this. But they did it. I think it's one thing for brands to just come out of the gate, like, we're going to provide this level of care. But for a brand to reinvent their care and bring it to the next level and really change everything about it is very impressive, because that's really changing, like, I don't know how many original Omelette hamster cages they sold, but that's really changing that product release. So I'm very impressed with them as a company, and I actually might try out some of their products soon so I can give you more thoughts on it. So that will be good. So I'll keep you updated. The only kind of like thing I'm a little bit hesitant about is the barred cage topper. I have heard reports of some hamsters injuring a paw in a barred cage. I think it's not super common, but it definitely does happen. And if your hamster injures their leg, and if you're not there to release them, like if they get their leg caught and stuck, it can be pretty bad. And ultimately, if the injury is bad enough, it can be the end of their life. So I'm a little bit iffy on how I feel about barred cages. I think there's times when they make sense. In traveling, I think having a critter trail is probably a nice thing to travel with. You can just put it in your back seat. You can like have a wheel and a water bottle like adhered to the side, but or like for emergency situations. So I keep a couple critter trails in my closet just in case there's like a tornado or something, or I lose heat and I need to go to a hotel room. Like in those situations, it's like, well, you got to do what you got to do. But as far as like a long-term living situation, this is the part that I haven't quite decided. There are workarounds. You could get like acrylic or cork or something and adhere it to the bars so your hamsters don't have access to the bars. But, you know, if you're going to spend money on a cage, it's like, I feel like you should just get something that works. So still deciding about that. I'll let you guys know if I have any further thoughts. But if you have any, I would love to hear what they are. Other things happening. The California Hamster Association is having a holiday fair. I think it's December 14th. I'm super excited. It's in Orange County. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to it because I'm pretty far away and I just don't know that that will work with my work schedule. But I am working on some merch. I hired a hamster illustrator from Instagram. I will put their handle down below. It's like Graffitoland or something. But they do like really cute little hamster like stickers and illustrations, and they do custom work too if you want to hire them. So I hired them to do a little poster, and then I've been using the graphics to make stickers and embroidery things. Like I think I'm going to do a hat and maybe a sweatshirt. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with some ideas. So I've come up with a few ideas. I'm going to sell them on my website so that if any of you can't go to the fair like me, but you still want to be a part of it in spirit, you can support the California Hamster Association by purchasing those products. So all proceeds are going to go to the CHA, which will go to their rescue, which is the Snow White's Rescue Cottage. So all of those proceeds will go to Snow White's Rescue Cottage. So you can support hamsters, show your hamster pride, and also support a good cause. So you can check out my website. There's a little a link that it says store, and then you can order items from there. I just did them, so I'm going to actually order a few of them just to make sure they look cute. But yeah, I have a poster. You can get it framed. I have some embroidered hats. What else did I say? Like a notebook. I'm going to do some stickers, some t-shirts, all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to be decked out in my CHA stuff, hopefully soon. And maybe you will be too, or maybe like a good Christmas gift. I don't know. So exciting. And if you're nearby, you should definitely just go in person, and they're going to have merch there. They will have t-shirts and all sorts of things too. So you'll have your chance to support either way. So other things happening, Wonder Hamster Shop, which is based in Germany. She has an Etsy shop that has great hamster sprays and stuff. She is discontinuing her store at the end of the year. So everything is 40% off. Go buy some great hamster sprays or buy them for a friend. I got already like 2 boxes of the wild spray assortment for my hamsters. I'm tempted to buy more, but then I was like, no, I'm going to talk about it on the podcast and make sure everyone has a chance to get their hamster sprays, and then if there's still some in December, I'll buy the rest. but I don't want to take away the opportunity from all of you for getting her amazing products. I'm sad to see her go, but happy that she was there for my hamsters in a time when there weren't a lot of options. I mean, now there's so many more ways you can buy great hamster sprays, but I think the Wonder Hamster Shop started in 2021, and at that time there really wasn't a lot of options. So yeah, I'm really thankful, and I wish her all the luck in what she does next. Yeah. And then I think those are all of my updates. So now we can talk about keeping your hamster's cage clean. So and this is kind of a tricky subject because I think there is no really answer to this. Every hamster is so different, and all I can do is tell you about how different all of my hamsters are. And then you just kind of have to adjust, learn their habits and then adjust to them. So I'll start with Stan. He's one of my little robos. Stan kicks his dirty bedding out of his nest when it's dirty and he doesn't like it anymore. So he kicks it out the front door of his multi-chamber hide, and then I just collect it. And every once in a while, he doesn't come out a lot. I really very rarely even see him. So every once in a while, I have to go in there and I add back some bedding. I scoop out some dirty stuff and I add back some bedding in his multi-chamber hide. It's primarily where it's dirty. He tends to kind of pee in his living area. But he makes it pretty easy on me. He does let me know when things are dirty by kicking it out. And so I can just take it. It's very easy. It's funny. He must know. He's like, okay, somebody take this away. Let's see here. So Maurice, he is my dwarf hamster. He's all a little white, fluffy guy. He's like one of those guys who just pees where he sleeps. And so eventually I just have to go in there and scoop out, every, I don't know, month or so, maybe more frequently than that. I go in, I try to wait until he comes out, but he again is a shy little hamster. So sometimes I just have to do it when I have a spare moment. I'll uncover his hide or his nest, and I'll scoop him out, put him in the playpen, and just do a quick clean in his nest area, which typically is in his multi-chamber hide. Most hamsters are going to have like one area where they spend most of their time. So when it comes to cleaning, pretty much you really only need to focus on like that one area. But every hamster is different. So then if I'm moving around the room here. So if I go to Dexter, Dexter is my only hamster who pees like specifically in his sand bath. I mean, if I look in his multi-chamber hide, he doesn't pee in there at all. He doesn't pee where he sleeps at all. I mean, it's pretty amazing that he has this much control. So it does make it easy, but it also is kind of a lot of work because I'm constantly, like probably every 2 weeks, I totally change over his sand bath. I just take it out. I filter it through, what are those? Like a mesh sieve. And then I wash the sand, and then I bake it. So every 2 weeks he gets a full new sand. And I wash the whole container. So he has a few sand baths that he rotates through. Lester, my little robo who's in the Christmas tree bin, he's been kind of peeing in a little glass jar in a corner, so I just keep replacing that glass jar, and he just keeps going in there. So that makes it easy. He also, like many robos I know, kind of just goes all over. So I do have to sort of be careful. Like I do have to kind of once in a while just sort of inspect everywhere and kind of take out some stuff and add some new bedding. My other robos, Peggy and Ella, are kind of the same way. They just kind of go wherever, often in their nest, but it's also kind of all over. So I find every once in a while, I just have to go in there and like kind of replace like a third of the bedding. And I do that every month or two. Maybe, yeah, I try to not interrupt their schedule. So if they come out, I'll put them in the playpen. But for some hamsters like Peggy, Ella, I almost never see in the daytime. So sometimes I just got to do it. And, I don't want to disturb them, but there is kind of no other option. And eventually it does get kind of stinky, and it is sort of a health issue, I think, for them. So I think that sort of summarizes what I'm trying to say, which is every hamster is different. So get to know your hamster, get to know their habits. Primarily what you're going to do, I think it's a urine problem. You want to get that urine bedding out of there. Their little poops are not so bad. I have a little USB hand vac that I vacuum up little poops from platforms, every couple days I do that. And of course I change their water bowls daily and their water bottles about weekly. And I also, their little ceramic hides, which they tend to pee in those too. I also switch those out pretty frequently, maybe every week or so. But when it comes to more deeper cleans like bedding, it really depends on the hamster and what their habits are. And you just kind of got to go from there. But you don't need to do total cage cleans. Like that idea... Oh, can you hear my tummy? I guess I'm hungry. That idea is not necessary. You can just get to know your hamster, use your nose, like kind of figure out where things are at with them, and try to keep cleaning to sort of a place where it's not really interruptive to their life. So if you can make it kind of be little things that you can do to keep it clean without totally interrupting your life, that's the way to go. So what I mean by that is, if I'm going to clean their ceramic hide, all of my hamsters have a ceramic hide, usually on a platform. I just take one out, replace it with a new one. That way it never is gone. It's just like replaced. And then I wash that one, and then, it goes in a bin, and then it's always there. The same for Dexter's sand bath. I don't take away his sand bath. I just replace it with a different one. And then I can deal with his sand bath, which usually takes like a day or two for me to wash his sand, bake it, all the stuff, like wash the containers. It's kind of a process, and I do it in between little moments of like, oh, I'm taking a work break, or late at night or something like that. So I just try to make sure that it's not really interrupted to their life, that it's just kind of like little things. They're not missing anything. Just keep it up. So if you do that on a weekly basis or every couple of days, kind of keep up with like the little things, like they're vacuuming up their little poops and all that stuff, you will be in a good place. I think I do have a page on my website about cleaning. I will link to it in the notes. And I have some of my favorite kind of products, including this little hand vac that I use. And that's my like favorite thing. I love the little vacuum. It's just so helpful. I've had it now for, I don't know, at least 2 or 3 years. And it's like my favorite. I think it might be one of my favorite hamster items. So highly recommend. I'm about to buy one for my car because I'm like, I need one of these for me, not just my hamsters. Yeah, so if you have any cleaning tips or things that you do, I would love to hear from you. Please leave me a comment below. And if you have any other questions or thoughts on anything I talked about, again, leave me a comment below. If you have any products you'd like to see added to the CHA holiday fair, let me know also, because I'm working on creating those. I am using an on-demand print service called Printly, I think it's called. So it's a little pricey, but I'm going to double check that quality is great. And so that way, if you order something, you can rest assured that it's going to be a really great product, hopefully. But yeah, if you have anything you want to see on that CHA Holiday Fair product list, also leave me a comment. Would love to hear from you. All right. I hope you are all having a great hamster week, and I hope to see you in my next episode. Bye.